I'm Joshua Patrick Dudley, and I am the writer of Bloodlines, and I also play Dustin in Bloodlines. I am a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. I have been ever since the show debuted when I was a little kid, so I knew at some point I wanted to do a tribute to it. So as part of our trifecta of terror that we were doing at the time, I wrote a short film called Bloodlines. That's basically the story of a vampire and a slayer who are in love, but neither one knows that each other is a vampire or a slayer. So, and I made it a little more in-depth than that. We made it so that Dustin had killed Kendra's mother, and Kendra was actually the daughter of Buffy, the vampire slayer. So if you were a Buffy fan, you'll know that Kendra was the slayer that was called after Buffy when Buffy died in the first season. Kendra was in it for the second season, and then she died. I thought that would be a neat little nod to have Buffy name her kid after Kendra, if she ever had one, just in theory. I am sad that I played a character that supposedly killed Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I would never kill Buffy. I love Buffy and Sarah Michelle Gellar, so who is an alumni of Scream 2. Stab fans, you already know that.
Hi, I'm Alexandria Arnold, and I was the director of the short film Bloodlines. Bloodlines was part of the trifecta of terror like Stab was. We had started working on special effects, but something that really hadn't developed in anything we had done so far was fight scenes. We never really choreographed a fight. We may have improvised and directed it that way, but it wasn't anything that really took a lot of thought, and we realized that while we were filming our movies and watching them back. So Bloodlines included so much choreography of fighting between, Josh's character and Kara's character, and at times it was uncomfortable. It was filmed in Josh's apartment again.
Bloodlines was really more of an experiment than anything. We wanted to practice special effects makeup, we wanted to practice stunt fighting, and we wanted to practice movies without music, because we had a running theory for a little while that music was the only thing that made our movies watchable. So we wanted to try something that involved way less music, and we didn't have to use a composer, and we didn't have to worry about it being original for copyright purposes. So most of Bloodlines doesn't have any music, it's mostly sound effects.
It was also the first time I directed something that I didn't write, or I wasn't at least part of the writing process. So that was challenging and different, and I think there were many times that we would stop and Josh wouldn't say anything because he really wanted this to be my first fully directing position. And I'd be waiting for him to be like, okay, what do I need to film next? Because that's what I'm used to, and that never happened. And it was a lot scary, and I respected Josh so much more because I'm like, this is what happens literally every single time he films, is it's all him. You know what I mean? The whole thing is him. Another interesting thing that we tried in Bloodlines that we hadn't done yet is making our own props, aside from, the gory guts, knives, blood. But we had never tried a prop like a piece of furniture. And Josh knew that if he was gonna get thrown into, a coffee table, he really didn't want it to feel like he was getting thrown into a coffee table. So he made a coffee table out of foam. And sometimes I watched the movie back and realized that it is a little noticeable, but at the time it was so amazing to us because it's something that we had never done, that we were like, that's a coffee table. It doesn't just pass, it is a coffee table. And now I watch it and I'm like, not really.
We spent hours on that vampire makeup. It hurt. So the vampires in Buffy have this snarled up face, and I wanted, it's a tribute to Buffy. I've always wanted to be one of those vampires since I was a little kid, even if it was just for Halloween or something like that. So we found the prosthetic and we put it on, and I did a lot of the makeup myself, and I got glue in my eyes and all this liquid latex, and we put these yellow contacts in, and then my eyes were on fire from these contacts. So for a while, I was only able to film for a few minutes at a time, and then we'd have to take the contacts out and wash out the contacts and wash out my eyes again, which would make my makeup run again. So by the time we put the contacts back in, they would start to burn again because we had to reapply makeup.
We also really dabbled with makeup in a different way, not just, how to make it look realistic that you're getting gutted, but how can you turn yourself into something else? And so Josh, obviously playing a vampire, wanted to go all out, and he decided the perfect thing to just finish the full effect were these terrifying contacts, so that he could really, in Buffy their eyes change. He wanted that sort of experience. We probably spent 2 hours trying to get those contacts in, and then maybe another 30 minutes to get them to stay in before he felt okay enough to just leave the apartment we were getting ready in and start filming. The amount of pain that I witnessed Josh go through with this was absolutely incredible. I don't know if we managed to get glue in them or makeup, but the minute it touched his cornea, he literally was screaming pain. His eyes were bright red. He kept blinking and he blinked them out. And then, you know, trying not to rub his eyes, because if he did, it actually felt like salt in the wound. And nothing we did, no amount of, you know, eye drops or anything seemed to matter. So the whole time you see him fighting and, you know, getting thrown into a coffee table, just know that he was secretly dying inside because his eyes were in awful pain.
The vampire makeup was such a process, and the fangs too. We tried several different kinds of fangs and ended up using just those ones that are individual fangs that stick on. And they look okay in the movie because they're mostly fitted to my teeth. But that was the third pair we had tried to master. And we even had a custom pair made that was a full teeth set for me of my teeth just with fangs to look like the Buffy vampire teeth fangs, because all of their teeth go a little bit pointy on Buffy. And it didn't fit after we had it custom made for me, so I couldn't wear them, so that was awful. So I had just these two little clip-in fangs, and they're not that bad. It wasn't awful. So the makeup process, however, was terrible, and Rachel can attest to that. She really had to help me out there with the contacts and getting things in and off and on, and it was a painful process, but it's pretty cool in the end, like to see what I look like. The only thing I think I would change about the makeup is when I was learning how to do makeup like that, it tells you to put like a really red base, and we did, just so that it looks like there's like flesh and blood tone under the, you know, for the skin to blend it all together, because you put on the piece and then you have to make all your skin look the same, so that it looks natural. And I just think ours was just a little too red after still. If anything, I just wish we had evened it out, and we do eventually. Like you'll notice there's like a few shots where I'm kind of like sunburned, and then once we're like outside, I look kind of normal again. So, but basically, yeah, there was no script, and I asked Kara Shields to be in it because I wanted a hot vampire slayer, and Kara's super, super sexy. So I figured if she was the daughter of Buffy, that she would be a babe because Buffy's a babe. So I asked, and Kara agreed, and it was kind of fun for us to get to play different parts, and for me, to play a straight guy, let alone a vampire, and for me to even think about being in a relationship with Kara was really, really funny for me. But I really enjoyed our time filming it. The stunts were really fun. We went for it. Kara really, really, really went for it too. Like, I'm not the only one throwing myself around in that, and she has no stunt training whatsoever, so it was cool to kind of teach her and watch her learn. And she's very strong. She's almost like a gymnast, so she was very good at a lot of it. We had a really, really good time. And then the ending, the dusting sequence, was actually done by a friend of mine, because I'm not very good at special effects. I know minor things, and I'm slowly trying to teach myself more things, but I was not good enough to get the vampire dusting that I wanted, where my skin kind of turned to dust first, and then you see my skeleton and I disappear into air. So that was fun to film. And then the big reveal, you know, that it was Buffy's daughter. I thought it was just a really cool connection for probably what is our shortest film that we have ever made.